Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you had a really great day trading today. And if you're in Florida, I hope you are dry and safe. Where I am, we had a ton of flooding and a lot of chaos in the past couple days. And a really quick story. Back in 2011, at the bottom of the last recession, I was about to buy this house. And I ended up getting another house that wasn't in a flood zone. But what a wild thing to see a house that you are just about to buy in this condition. So hopefully you guys are dry and safe and minimal damage if you are in Florida. And today was Monday, August 5th, and we had a lot of red in the market today. All indices closed red, volatility up again today, and the market extended the losses from last week. So we did open SPY with a really big gap down, and we dropped all the way underneath the 1 week 35 EMA. And we even got underneath that level and filled the gap underneath. I'll zoom out in a second and we'll see where that gap goes. But we got pulled back above the weekly 35 EMA and we bounced. We also got above this previous support level. We took it all the way back up to the implied move. And then from there we got pushed back down to the weekly 35 EMA. So the opening gap was an enormous gap down. It was just about 4%. And then from that low, we bounced 2.33%. So volatility is definitely back. Let's just measure out that last move too. So then from where we saw resistance to back down was 1.5%. So huge moves today. Both sides had an opportunity to win. And SPY did close down 2.91%. VIX closed up 64.93%. That is huge. And that is just going to keep volatility going for now. We're going to keep seeing big moves like we did today. And we did not trade at all within the implied move today. We gapped completely outside of it. And remember, in the past few videos, I've been mentioning that if we do have a gap down outside of the implied move, then look to the next support level. And we did, we found support. It was kind of a combo of 3 levels here, this gap, 35 EMA on the weekly time frame, and this previous support, which let's zoom back just a little bit. That support level goes back to, bear with me here. So that is our previous support that goes back to May 31st right there. And then this gap underneath it that we filled, that goes back to right after we saw the bottom in May here. This was at the beginning of May. We saw that pullback and then we saw that gap up and a second gap up, and that pushed us into a pretty decent rally, which actually that took us to this support level. So another gap completely filled, and I don't know if you guys know the saying, 9 out of 10 gaps fill, but so far this week we've been doing a pretty good job of retracing, filling some gaps, and Lord knows we have a lot more to go to the downside. So this gap right here, that is what we closed out. We got back above the 35 EMA, that is on the weekly time frame, so let's go to that time frame and take a look at that. You can see right here, we have been trading above the 35 EMA almost entirely since October lows right here. And once we got back up, we have been rallying really hard above that level. And this is the first time that we came back to it. And this level is significant, not only that it's the weekly 35 EMA, but it is also the 0.236 retracement level from the last time that we touch down to the 1 week 200 moving average. So even though I am bearish here, I do think that the combination of those two levels, the Fibonacci retracement and the 35 EMA on the weekly time frame, could be a place that we see a little bit of a technical bounce. So keep that in mind. It did catch us today, and then let me take it back to the 30-minute time frame. And lastly, before we move on, we did see a green signal right here in Stupid Willie. It was pretty weak, I'm not gonna lie. It's not a very convincing green signal, but it is green and green is green. So definitely at this point, keep an eye on this weekly 35 EMA level. And if we pull back just a little bit, this new support that we just made while closing out this gap, which is just a little bit above 511. And taking it over to SPX for a minute before we move on, it is almost exactly the same over here. We did see these two levels were a little bit tighter, that support that goes back and that 35 EMA. So once we filled that gap right here, we bounced back up to the 35 EMA and got above that support, took it back up to the implied move, and pulled back to the 35 EMA on the weekly time frame. So here we also did create that down gap, and there was an up gap in there, so we have another island top. It has been really interesting to see just how many island tops we have been creating on the descent here. And today we did create another one. So any suggestions on today's gap, what we could name it, let me know in the comments. So we did close right above that 35 EMA here as well on the weekly time frame. So SPX down 3%. VIX absolutely went to the moon, up 64%. We are at 38, and we did not close within the implied move today. And taking it over to QQQ. So in QQQ, we did also gap down, and we gapped down all the way down to the 1-day 200 moving average, and then we also had this gap right here. I'm going to zoom this out to see where that is. So 1-day 200 moving average right here, and then we had an up gap right here off of, these are April lows right here. We came up, and this got us back above the 35 EMA on the 1-day time frame. So this gap right here is where we did find some support along with the 1-day 200 moving average. We did get pulled back up, and we did see a technical bounce at that level. I'm just taking a look at Stupid Willie from this time frame. This is still very wide. We do potentially have more room to go down from here, but we did see a technical bounce, usually around the 1-day 200 moving average. That is such a big and such a common moving average that you will see some kind of technical bounce. The last time we saw that level was right here, and we actually made a bear flag going towards that, and then we did fulfill that bear flag on the way up. So from here, bull flag, and up. So that was the last time we touched down to the 1-day 200 moving average. Before that, it was a resistance level, and a pretty clear one too. So we did drop down to the 1-day 200 moving average. We popped back up, and then we came up to previous support, which turned into resistance. Let me zoom back out. I don't know if I need to go back on the 1 day. That's too far. Let's take it on the 1 hour. So right here where we saw resistance was a previous support level. Right here, we closed above it on Friday, and then today we gapped completely under it. We actually gapped all the way down here, and on the way up, we did see that previous support as a resistance level. So that is at 443. And what else do we have running through there? What is this level? That is probably the weekly 35 EMA. So let's go check. It is weekly 35 EMA. That is huge, actually. When we did come back up, we saw resistance, and I'm going to adjust it really fast before we move on. And that is huge. If we see that 35 EMA as a resistance tomorrow and in the next few trading sessions, then we will absolutely see lower. This is still a gray candle. It hasn't turned red yet. We are very close to that 35 EMA, and we actually closed within the bands that go around it. So this is a very neutral close around that 35 EMA. But be cautious, because if it does act as a resistance, look at here how it is support, but before that, going back, resistance. This level is no joke, and we did just close underneath it today. So keep an eye on that level. And QQQ did close down 2.98%. VXN up 26.67%. We are at 35 for volatility in the Nasdaq. And we did not trade within the implied move today. We did come into it for just a minute here. We got pushed back out, and we settled just a little bit above the 1 hour 200 moving average, but below the 35 EMA on the weekly time frame. And then switching it over to IWM. So we did open IWM with a big gap down, and I just want to measure that out really quickly. We opened down about 5%, so huge gap down, and we did bounce right here, and I have to zoom out. I think this is the 4 hour 200 moving average. Let's look on the 4 hour time frame. Sometimes I don't have all my labels in perfectly, but I think we're on the 4 hour time frame here. No, we took it all the way down to the 1 hour. So let's look at the 1 day time frame here. So after we did give back all of that attempt to break out above 211, we dropped down to the 1 day 200 moving average, and we did see a little bounce there. Absolutely huge level. And if we look at Stupid Willie right here, we did see a cross down, but this is also pretty neutral. This could bounce here. We definitely could see a technical bounce on this 1 day 200 moving average. And let me switch it back to the 30-minute time frame. After we bounced on the 1 day 200 moving average, we took it all the way back up to the bottom of the implied move. So the implied move, it is a level, and it's only a level on the day, but today we could see that right at that level we got pushed back down. We did push into the gap that basically started that big rally up. So that gap up is what started that squeeze upward, and that goes back to July 11th. And right before that, we did see that bullish break of the 35 EMA, and then it did take us quite a few days to really hold on to that level. And then with that gap up, we pushed up higher and we got into that bull gap, bear gap, and eventually we got into that bear gap. At first it was resistance, then we came back up, but that gap is what started it all. And today we gapped down underneath that gap, but when we came back up and bounced off the 1 day 200 moving average, we did come into that gap a little bit. I'd say maybe a fourth of the way in before getting pushed back out and closing outside of the implied move on both days. And there is also a little tiny gap right here. Honestly, it's almost too small to, it's funny, those levels will actually play an important role even if they're really small, but it goes back to right here, right before we rallied. We had this tiny little up gap. You almost can't even see it on my chart, but it's right there, and we did see a little bounce there at the end of the day. So once we hit that 1 day 200 moving average, the bounce off of that was 3.6%. So huge move. If you bought calls on that level, you had a really fun swing up. And of course, hopefully you took profits as well. IWM did close down 3.22%. The Russell Volatility Index up 37.24%. It is up at 42 now, and we did not close within the implied move. And then lastly, let's take it over to DIA. So DIA did open with a massive gap down like everything else, and let's measure that out just for fun. We did open down 2.59%, and we gapped down underneath this level right here. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what that is. I do have to zoom out a little bit. Let me take it on the 1 year time frame. Okay, so that was a previous support right here that we saw from April, again in May, and June. So previous support, and we did gap underneath it. And if you can look at this candle from this time frame, the 1 day, we closed underneath that as well. And if we look at Stupid Willie down here, you could see that pop right there did get a rejection, and we are bearish on the 1 day time frame. With that 1 day 200 moving average right here, I would be looking to this level, just the way that momentum is set up, and the fact that we did close underneath that support level. And let me take it back to the 30-minute time frame here. So from there, we did pop back up. We did get into the bottom of the implied move for the week, which was 389. And then we got rejected out of there. You could see that on the 30-minute time frame, Stupid Willie right here, and that is shown as a rejection on this green line against that red line. We did not see a cross back up, and that doesn't necessarily mean this level is rejected. We can come and chop around this level, maybe even get back in within the implied move. But as of right now, the indicators are not showing enough strength at these levels, meaning people are not rushing to buy at this level. So, okay, so that was our uptrend support since April. Let's take a look at what other levels we gapped underneath. And I didn't add this down gap, so let's put that in real fast right here. So we gapped underneath the 50-day moving average. And then what moving average is underneath that? We are underneath the 1 hour, so this is going to be the 4 hour. Let's take a look at that time frame. 4 hour, 200 moving average, and there it is. We did gap underneath the 4 hour, 200 moving average. Stupid Willie here is looking also very bearish. That momentum is strong pointing down. So just be cautious going long here. If you are buying the dips, and make sure you have an exit plan and a specific amount of profit that you're happy with, and for right now take it until our indicators are showing that we have a strong upward momentum. If you are playing the long side, take profits quickly. So that 4 hour 200 moving average is right there. You could see the 1 day 200 moving average just underneath it. And did I go to that time frame yet? There it is right there. I did, but okay, so then heading back to the 30-minute time frame, did I get everything? I think I said everything about DIA that I wanted to. DIA down 2.6%, and we did not close within the weekly implied move. That is actually pretty big. There's going to be a rush to readjust positions, and definitely starting the week off on a super sour note in the Dow Jones. So that was a recap of today. We covered a lot of really big stuff, and if you find these videos useful, if they help you to choose better strikes and take better trades, and you love that I break it down every night, then please make sure to give this video a like. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. And if you took a super awesome trade based on something I said and you want to give back, help my channel grow, don't forget to use that thank you button. It's a super easy way to show appreciation. I don't charge for any other memberships, and I do want to keep it that way. And if you have any questions at all, please leave me a comment. I do get back to every single one of them. And I'm here to help you guys grow as traders. There are no dumb questions, so ask away. And I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. Tonight, I might actually have to do the same as I did last week, where I post my next day trading ranges on TradingView. If I do that, I will still do a really quick video letting you know they're up. I just don't think I'll be able to have the time to make a full video on the trading ranges for tomorrow. So that will be up in a few hours, and have fun tomorrow, trade safe, make sure you guys take profits when you're up, and I will see you guys tomorrow.